You might want to sit down for this one. Because after years of silence, Dakota Johnson just finally opened up about what really happened between her and Coldplay frontman Chris Martin. And trust us, what she revealed is not only heartbreaking, it's something nobody saw coming. Their relationship seemed like the epitome of a calm, mature Hollywood romance. But behind closed doors? It was far more complicated. So what changed? Why did Dakota say, "We're not the same anymore"? And is this really the end for them? Before we dive into Dakota's emotional revelation, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dive stories into your favorite celebrities. This story is just getting started, and what comes next will absolutely leave you speechless. For years, Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin were one of Hollywood's most low-key, yet strangely magnetic couples. Unlike the chaos that usually surrounds celebrity relationships, these two managed to avoid the tabloids, for the most part. No scandals. No drama. Just two incredibly talented individuals choosing to keep their love life private. But that's exactly why the world became obsessed. Fans couldn't help but romanticize them. They were that couple, introverted, soulful, and deeply connected. But in a rare, emotionally charged interview earlier this week, Dakota didn't just lift the veil on her famously private relationship, she ripped it wide open. The first sign that something was wrong actually came months ago, when fans noticed that Dakota had stopped attending Coldplay's concerts. Up until that point, she was practically a fixture at Chris's shows, standing in the VIP section, singing along, even cheering during soundcheck. So when she suddenly disappeared from the tour circuit, people took notice. Then came the Instagram silence. No birthday shoutouts. No mutual friends posting pictures of them. For a couple who had always avoided the spotlight, their sudden radio silence felt deliberate. But it wasn't until Dakota was asked directly in a recent interview about her relationship with Chris that the truth started to unfold. With a deep breath and a moment of hesitation, she finally responded. "We're not the same anymore," she said softly. And I think we both knew that for a while. That one line hit fans like a thunderbolt. It was subtle, sure, but behind those few words was a storm of emotion that had clearly been building for a long time. So what happened? According to sources close to the couple, the cracks began to show in early 2024. While Chris was completely absorbed in Coldplay's tour and a secret project reportedly tied to environmental causes, Dakota was diving deep into her acting and producing career. Her schedule became grueling, shooting on location, managing scripts, and even developing her own production company. As her star continued to rise, so did the distance between them. And here's where things get interesting. Insiders claim that Chris was hoping to settle down, even mentioning marriage more seriously than ever before. But Dakota? She wasn't ready. Not because she didn't love him, but because she didn't want to slow down. One friend even said, Dakota felt like she was just hitting her stride. She didn't want to make decisions based on someone else's timeline. Mid-video teaser here, because if you think this was just about career differences, you're wrong. There's another layer to this story that no one saw coming. And it involves a very private disagreement that may have been the final straw. Keep watching, because what Dakota says next changes everything. In the same interview, Dakota was asked whether love is enough to make a relationship last. And her answer? Chilling. Sometimes love isn't the problem, she said. It's what you're willing to give up for it. Let that sink in for a moment. It wasn't a betrayal. It wasn't a scandal. It was a silent, growing realization that two people who deeply loved each other were no longer walking in the same direction. But it wasn't always this way. When they first met in 2017, sparks flew instantly. Chris was drawn to Dakota's calm intelligence and artistic soul. And Dakota loved how Chris could make even a mundane afternoon feel poetic. Their bond was built on music, mutual respect, and a fierce desire to protect each other's privacy. They avoided red carpets. They gave no joint interviews. But what they did do was share quiet moments, late-night walks in Malibu, spontaneous getaways to Iceland, and jam sessions in the studio that no one ever got to hear. At one point, Chris even dedicated Coldplay's 2019 song My Universe to Dakota during a concert in London. Fans cried. Dakota was seen wiping tears from the audience. For a moment, it felt like nothing could ever pull them apart. But fast forward to 2025, and that universe had shifted. Dakota's world had expanded in ways that even she hadn't anticipated. With back-to-back film roles and newfound influence in Hollywood's creative circles, she was no longer the mysterious indie darling, she had become a powerhouse. And with that transformation came a new understanding of what she needed, and what she was no longer willing to compromise. In one of the more emotional parts of the interview, Dakota described what it felt like to slowly drift away from someone she still cared about deeply. It's like living in the same house, but in different rooms. You still say good morning, but you stop asking how they slept. You still love them, but you don't really see them anymore. Oof. That line shattered fans. She didn't throw blame. She didn't name names. But the heartbreak in her voice was undeniable. And that's what makes this split so different from other celebrity breakups. There's no drama here, just deep, painful honesty. And yet, even now, Dakota hasn't ruled out the possibility of reconnecting. When asked if she and Chris still talk, she smiled faintly and said, "Of course. We've never stopped being kind to each other." That one sentence reignited hope for millions of fans who desperately want them to find their way back. But Dakota made one thing clear: if they ever do reunite, it'll be on new terms. "I think we'd have to meet again as new people," she said. "We've both changed too much to go back to what we were." So what now? Chris Martin, as of now, has made no public statement about Dakota's interview. But fans have pointed out subtle changes in his recent performances, longer pauses before singing certain lyrics, moments of visible emotion during Coldplay's more romantic ballads, and one particular night where he hesitated before playing Fix You. Coincidence? Or silent response? No one knows for sure. But one thing's certain, this story isn't over. Not by a long shot. As fans try to make sense of it all, some believe this could mark the beginning of a new era for both Dakota and Chris. Individually, they are thriving. But whether their paths will cross again romantically remains to be seen. And maybe that's the lesson here. Sometimes, love doesn't die, it just evolves. It stretches, breaks, reforms. And sometimes, it circles back when both people are finally ready. Before you click away, let us know in the comments, do you think Dakota and Chris still have a chance? Or is this truly the final chapter in their love story? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next, because if Chris Martin ever responds to Dakota's revelations, you know we'll be here to break it all down. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the quietest breakups echo the loudest.